Hey everybody, welcome to 5 Outdoors. I'm Robert Houston. Thanks for joining us once again this week. On tonight's program, you will witness the release of a dozen or so rehabilitated deer back into the wild. I hope you find that interesting. And we'll also take a look at another beautiful weekend getaway destination just above the Buffalo River Valley in Newton County. But first, let's check out that critter release in Madison County. You know, we've taken you to the Witter Wildlife Refuge before and shown you some of the animals that Jim and Cindy Orr have taken in at their animal rehabilitation center. Well, we have a special treat for you tonight. We will see Jim, Cindy, and a whole bunch of volunteers release rehabilitated deer back into the wild.
Yeah.
The first order of business was getting the deer tranquilized and ready for transport. Cindy Orr lured the dozen or so animals into the fenced-in area surrounding their house and began the process of darting the animals. And as you can see from this video, they seem to all be in good health, but it still didn't take Cindy long before her accuracy with the dart gun paid off, and she had deer falling asleep all over her property. Chief Kodak Mize of the Red Wolf Band of the Lumbee Indians and several other tribe members, as well as other volunteers, were on hand to help carefully load the sedated deer into the back of trucks for the journey to their new home. Jim Orr says this is the largest group of animals that he and Cindy have released back into the wild.
They came in last spring, May, June, July. They've been with us at the refuge, growing into adults. Once we get them weaned from a bottle, we put them in a big enclosure with wild deer until they get used to being wild, and then we relocate them to their own area where they can run wild and put them back in the wild. So today we relocated all these babies that have grown up so they're free, no fences, unenclosed on 600 acres of wilderness where they can be deer. It's pretty rewarding. This is the good time where you get to see them run off and be wild again.
Orr says he and Cindy took care of about 200 animals this past year, including 25 deer. He says it's hard to predict each year how many animals they'll be caring for, but it seems that encounters with automobiles are a growing problem.
It varies. It's funny because you'll have a busy season one year and expect it the next, and it'll be later or earlier. There does seem to be more automobile-related injuries with more and more people, more traffic. When I first started, most of the calls were abandoned deer, where the mother was lost or the deer was taken down by dogs, and now probably half of them involve mothers killed by cars or deer hit by cars. So that seems to be the main impact that we're seeing from people.
Chief Mize says it's not the animals' fault that they are increasingly encroaching on the land that they live on.
Yeah, we try to tell people, the animal isn't coming onto your property. You moved onto theirs. You've intruded on them. They're not intruding on you. This is their home and has been forever. Now you built a house on it, so you got to learn to live with them.
Chief Mize operates the CDM Wildlife Refuge Center near Hot Springs, and he says Jim and Cindy have an ideal location for taking care of injured animals.
But what I can bring up here, I bring up here to Jim because he's got a better place in a city like we're at. Now I've got about, I think, right at 9 people working for me now. Most of them are members of a tribe, and we do it as a spiritual thing. To us, it's like a cleansing of the soul, I guess you could say. We're helping these animals get back where they belong, put them back for Mother Nature. It's a big deal for us.
Cash is always a helpful donation to the Witter Wildlife Refuge, but Jim Orr says there are other ways that people can contribute to their operation as well.
But we're also always looking for feed or grain, blankets, towels, paper towels, pretty much anything you can use in the medical profession. IV fluids, or syringes. A lot of times we get hospitals that give us used Ringer's lactated fluid. They can't reuse it for people, but they can mark it not for human use, and we can use it for helping animals. Anything that we don't have to buy, it's that many more animals we can help out.
There you go, honey.
Arkansas Game and Fish Commissioner Sonny Varnell lives just a few miles down the road from the Witter Wildlife Refuge, so he came out on this blustery release day to visit with the Orrs and watch the deer release. Varnell says this is the first time he has seen this many animals released back into the wild at one time, and he was pleased with the work that the Orrs are doing in Madison County.
These folks do a fantastic job in their rehabilitation of the wild animals, and I assume they're somewhere 12, 14 that they had released this morning. And that was just really thrilling to see. They perform a good service for the agency, for our agency, the Game and Fish Commission, and in that they do take these injured animals in and rehabilitate them and release them to the wild. It was fantastic to see that this morning. First time I had met Jim Orr and his wife, and to see the service they provide here at their place.
That's a great story. If you would like more information about the Whitter Wildlife Refuge, or you would like to donate to the work that they do there, you can give Jim and Cindy Orr a call at 479-677-3039, or you can go to the outdoor section of 5newsonline.com, where you will find a link to their website. Good work, guys. Well, you are in for a treat when we come back, because we're headed to Azalea Falls.
And lakes in the River Valley and Northwest Arkansas. You're watching 5 Outdoors with Robert Houston, bringing you the longest running and most trusted outdoor program in the area, KFSM's 5 Outdoors.